to work on your credit. So this is going to be very important with all that God is doing in this season. We have to make sure that we're concerned and we're doing the work. Faith and works go hand in hand, so we have to do the work when it comes to restoring our good name. I understand what it's like to have life happen. I understand what it's like to not be a good steward over time and finances as well. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. You're welcome to come if you know anyone that is also needing assistance. We're happy to help. Now, it's something that does not happen overnight. A lot of times people think that you can just come and get it done. Everyone wants it done in a microwavable time. That's not how this works. Some people will make the commitment that they're able to do a credit sweep. We're not your people when it comes to that. It's going to take time. It took time for you to mess it up. It's going to take time for us to do the work to fix it. And it's going to require you to have the renewing of your mind, making sure that you're taking accountability and responsibility. I care about your credit, but I can't care more than you care. So it is a partnership. So if anyone is interested in the room, anyone need assistance with credit, we will also begin to have a credit control group, a credit control club here at UCI. So more details to come with that. So if you're someone that's interested in owning your own business, because there are people that we all will come in contact with that I just can't reach everyone. So we want to make sure that each one is teaching one and that we're becoming knowledgeable and wismatic in all that we do. With all that we do, let's make sure that we have an understanding. Does anybody have any questions or concerns at this time? Shan, S-H-A-N. Last name Kelton, K-E-L-T-O-N. And I don't want to hold much time of the speaker. The speaker is here, so we can address any questions or concerns after he's done, okay? All right.
All right, everyone. So let's get ourselves together to receive all this information. I'm excited. How about you? That's right. So we have Damian Burris here with us from Burris and Presley Realty. I've seen this young man online doing several things, several encouraging things to help us as a people. So at this time, we're not going to prolong the hour anymore, just to give him a chance to give everything to us that he has for us and to give us an opportunity to ask questions at the end. Let's receive Damian Burris.
How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Where are the homeowners at? Raise your hand. Who wants to be homeowners? Raise your hand. Good, good. Okay, good. So I'm Damian Burris. First off, let me say thank you for having me to the pastors of this great church. I think it's very, very, very critical in a time like this that you're under leaders that not only care about the 90, but also care about, well, not the 10, but care about the 90. Y'all believe that? It's a library? Y'all believe that? Talk to me. All right? So you have to understand that that's very important, that you want to make sure that you are under people that are concerned about more than just the 10%. We've been in church for a long time hearing about paying your tithes, but when we squander the 90, we think God is going to just put it back in our account. Doesn't happen that way. You can't squander the 90, pay the 10, and ask God to bless you 100-fold. Okay? So we have to be stewards over what God has given us. So we're going to talk about homeownership. I have been blessed to be in the real estate space since 2015. I'm a retired detective. Everybody asks, how'd you go from law enforcement to real estate? Well, mortgage is 30 years, murder is 30 years. It's the same thing. It's just a different product, right? That was a joke. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right? No, seriously. But both of those entities, law enforcement prepared me for real estate and for what I do now. Real estate is just a corner of what I do. Here's something I want you to understand. God gave me this probably about 3 or 4 years ago. A topic came out that surfaced that was about streams. Everybody wants 7 streams of income because millionaires have 7 streams of income. Everybody heard that statement before? You need 7 streams of income. And what happened was people started running out and doing everything. They cut hair, and then they go from cutting hair to cutting grass, and they cut grass, and they pressure wash, and then they move furniture. And you do all these things, and that's just jobs. Here's what God gave me about 4 years ago. What you really need to tap into is your river. Because out of rivers flow streams. So your river is what you've been purposed to do. Right? What God has given you the ability to do. What you don't have to be taught, but has to be groomed. Right? Because most of us, we spend our time working for somebody else, and then we retire and we do what we were created to do as a hobby. Right? So streams flow from rivers. So when you understand how to tap into your river, then your streams will flow. So don't just get tapped into, I need 7 streams of income. Find your river. And when you make your river bigger, your streams flow smoother. Right? So what happens is, in this space, in real estate, I got in 2014. I didn't know a lot financially because I wasn't raised in that literacy world where I understood money. Am I the only one? Anybody else? If we be honest, our culture, right? Our culture has not really been taught financial literacy as much as we should have, right? So my job now is just to educate people on financial literacy. Owning a house is just a byproduct of you understanding how God has intended for you to live. The promises of God are not outside the kingdom. We don't have to go and squander and do all kind of crazy stuff to have what we need to have. Who really in here believes that God designed for you to have? Raise your hand. Okay, so now belief requires action. Because the Bible says without, it's impossible. We went to the same church, right? But also, faith without works is what? Right, so now we have to put the belief and the works together because it's not just enough for us to believe. So this homeownership class is going to dig into more than just owning a home. I want you to leave here and have a different mindset about your money. If you really read the Bible and understand it and know it, money is mentioned, or some barter system of money is mentioned in the Bible often. And sometimes it becomes the taboo in church because we have a negative connotation about it. We believe we're only supposed to pass it and not give it. Right? But our Jesus can't look less than their devil. How is it that we serve the man, the priest, the God that owns the cattle on 1,000 hills? But we struggle sometimes. So we're going to break through those barriers. We're going to break through all those things and help you understand how this works and what happens. So I started the company in 2018. Well, I got in real estate 2015. Got my own business 2018. And from 2018 to now, I've been operating the largest black-owned real estate company in South Carolina. That's nice. But I was homeless. I slept in a car. I had to use my badge and gun to go to McDonald's to get a free meal and then go back to the SUV I was sleeping in. So I'm not telling you that, I just woke up and I'm a trust fund baby. No. It's hard work, it's dedication, and it's you understanding and knowing how things work. Last year, my company did a volume of 89 million in sales. Right? But that's not waking up and just it falling in your lap. I'm just going to pray to God and He's going to make this thing happen. Prayer works. Don't get me wrong. But we have to have works inside to match that prayer. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. When we're dealing with income and how things work, I definitely want you to understand something. We as a people have to get focused. When I say people, I mean a culture. We have to get focused on what's happening because there are some issues that we're fighting, some systematic things that we're fighting that we really don't pay attention to, that we don't really know is really hurting us. So let's look at some real facts. The black homeownership difference in America right now between African American and white Americans, right? So you got to understand the difference, the housing wealth gap, simply meaning how many houses we own to how many houses our counterparts own. In order for this number to be lessened, we're going to have more seminars like this. Now, I already got the word from First Lady and her husband, right, that I can move how I need to move. This church should have been packed. Now, if we tell you prophet so-and-so is coming in town, everybody want a word. But when you tell you have to do works, I don't think I'm going to come to that one. The reason why success is so easy, because this is really vice versa. The reason why success is so easy because most people quit. We think it's the opposite. Why is success so hard? Success is not hard for people that keep going. Success is hard for people that quit. Think about it. Okay, you want scripture? The Bible says the way of a transgressor, somebody that's intentionally doing wrong. That's hard. So if you're going to not do the work, it's going to be hard. But if you finish, the only thing that beats failure is completion. Got it? So the housing gap in 2020, at the end of 2020, 44% of black Americans own their home, while 74% of white Americans own theirs. Now, are there some systematic issues that we have to address? Absolutely. Absolutely. I just wrote my first book entitled CEO, right? Chatter, Expectations, Oppositions. The second book that I'm writing is called What's Worse, White Privilege or Black Unexposure? Is white privilege here? Absolutely. It's the vehicle. But the gas in the vehicle is black unexposure. We don't get open enough to things that we should know about. We know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. So you got to understand what that looks like, how that happens. So now, how much of that 44 to 74% is really systematic racism? It's a lot. I'm not going to act like it's not. But there's a percentage in there that rests on our shoulders as well. Okay? So simply put, we're not buying homes like our counterparts. They own houses more often and faster. They own houses more often and faster. Which means we're taught you get 40 and then you settle down and you buy a house. Okay, well, let's do simple math. If you're 40 when you buy a house and you're trying to retire at 65 and the average mortgage is 30 years, that means you're going to be working 10, 15 years post-retirement. Which means when you retire, you have to go to Walmart and check receipts because you got to supplement the income that you lost. Our counterparts buy houses at 21. Add 30 years to that. They pay their house off at 55. They retire 10 years later with no debt. Right? So you understand how it works. Income, wealth, lending practices, credit scores, student loan debt, and all of these are contributing factors as to why we don't put ourselves in the best position. I think the statistics for 0 to 67 in housing equity by black people is 0. That simply means the value that's in our homes from 0 to 67 is nothing. Because we usually buy in neighborhoods that don't continue to progress, or we settle just to get in someplace. Now, I told you I was homeless in the beginning, so I'm not saying anything to offend you. I got mine out the way early, okay? This is to stretch you, not to embarrass you. Got it? We good? Okay. All right. Next slide, please. The median black household earns 61 cents for every dollar earned by a comparable white household. So that's why the income wealth and the housing wealth is the way it is. For every dollar that we earn, or they earn, we only earn 61 cents. So we're underpaid. So when you add these contributing factors, so here's the crazy part. Waking up African American already kind of puts you in a certain place. Now, the kingdom of heaven, there's no lack, but we're dealing with reality and how the world goes. Y'all got it? It's going to be more tumultuous for you to add on top of that bad credit, missed payments, mismanaging money, not budgeting, And then when they turn the computer around and say you can't get approved, the devil is a lie. No, he is. But you got something to do with that as well. Right? So not only does it make it more difficult to afford a home, but also to accumulate and pass on generational wealth. We hear that word all the time. I want to do this for generational wealth, generational wealth, generational wealth. Does anybody know where generational wealth comes from? Anybody raise your hand? Anybody? Where does 80% of generational wealth come from? Yeah? Y'all can talk. Yes, sir. Right. How do they acquire it, though? Trust funds. What else? Who? Access. Somebody else? I heard something else? Land. Somebody else? Guess where 80% of generational wealth comes from? Insurance. Had a white guy look me in my face. He said, the difference between black and white people, y'all work for wealth, we buy it. Let me give you an insurance play. Who has a child in here under 5? Raise your hand. Under 5. Under 10, raise your hand. Okay. All right, so this is an insurance play you may want to look at. In the United States today, you can insure a 15-day-old body. After 15 days, you can insure a human life, right? So let's say you take out an insurance policy for $50,000, $60,000, right? And that insurance policy is worth $60,000. A $60,000 insurance policy on a 15-day-old human is probably about $52 a month. You combine that with what's called the Index Uniform Life Policy, IUL, which then compounds the policy that you have, which gives you about 5 to 10% of value every year. Since we in church, we know 10% of 50,000 is how much? 5,000. This policy is a term with a cash benefit, so it has to mature for 18 years. Somebody give me a calculator real quick. Do 12 times 18. And then when you get that number, multiply that number by 5,000. 12 times 18. What's that number? I'm sorry? 12 times 18? Now multiply that number by 5,000. Plus the 50,000 we started out with. What's that? 1,080,000, whatever. Got it, right? Over a million, like she said. All right? So check this out. When your child turns 18, they hand you a check for $1 million. And you pay $52 a month for it. College paid for. You can quit your job. Open up a business. They say what you don't know won't hurt you. That's a lie. I never understood what he said until I heard that terminology. Y'all work for wealth, we buy it. He made about $6 million off his grandchildren. They were doorsteps. At the 15 days old, he opened up a policy for $50,000. And at 18, one turned, let's say from 2005 to 2010, he got $1.5 million. He got $1.5 million. He got $1.5 million. 5 years, he had $6 million. All the grandkids' tuition paid for. All of them had money to start life. And he gave the parents money for allowing them to take out a policy. You can do a term with a cash-out benefit, and you want to do what's called an IUL, Index Uniform Life Policy attached. We have the resources I can get everybody in here on the phone with the person that can actually write that policy for you. Okay? Index Uniform Life, IUL. These are things that we don't know, and they hurt us. Because I'm going to tell you this. Labor, if you're writing, this is where you need to write. Labor funds now. L-A-B-O-R. Labor funds now. N-A-W, excuse me. Labor funds now. Which means your ability to work will get you paid. But investments fund the future. There's going to be a day, age is going to set in. You're not going to be able to jump up, do hair, work security, go sit behind a computer. You're not going to be able to do that. So what happens as a result is they let you go home and retire and give you 54% of that salary. Well, if you struggled on 100%, how in the world are you going to make it on half? Labor funds now, investments fund the future. So you have to understand that if you're going to be productive in life, you have to start making investments. Make sense? Same way we believe that tithe covers us is how we have to use the other part of that 90 to say, okay, God, give me or put me in rooms, in places with people that I can understand how to put this money in vehicles that will return. Because we're great at spending. Spending doesn't come back. Right? Got it? Okay. Adding to the problem, the black-owned houses are typically worthless and are more than likely lose value than white houses in smaller neighborhoods. A primary residence accounts for the largest percentage of average American household net worth. That simply means whatever you're worth is directly tied to how much equity you have in your house. Who does not know what equity means? Raise your hand. If you don't, it's okay. We're here to learn. Everybody knows what equity means, right? Oh, equity is simply if I have a house I paid $300,000 for it, and it now appraises for $350,000. I have $50,000 cash that I can utilize because I only owe the bank what I borrowed. Houses appreciate. Got it? So assets are things that appreciate. Investments are things that appreciate. The more riskier, the bigger the payout. Right? The more safer, the less the payout. Got it? So last year, houses paid more than jobs. I got a couple that they bought a house in 2018. They sold it in 2020, made $150K. All from buying at the right time. And even if they didn't want to move, there's something called a HELOC or HELOAN. HELOC, H-E-L-O-C. It's a home equity line of credit. Let's say my house is worth $350,000, but I only owe $100,000. So that leaves how much in the bank for me? $250,000, right? I can go to the bank if my credit is right. Give me your name again. Shan. When Shan gets your credit straight, right? You can go to the bank and you can borrow up to 85% of the equity that's in your house. And that home equity line of credit will stay active for 10 years. So if you borrow 50 and you pay 50 back in 2 years, then you can go use it again. Just stuff we have to understand and come in contact with. All right, thank you. The next one, next slide. All right, can y'all see this? You can see it up here. All right, black applicants have higher denial rates for home purchase loans, although these rates have declined for all borrowers since 2009. There has been an internet sensation about Bank of America. So, Bank of America got sued in 2011 for $335 million for discriminating on black borrowers. So don't think this is just some heroic. They settled for $175 million, but what they're trying to do now is get back in the good graces of consumers. Here's the problem with that loan. That loan says you can only live in Hispanic or black areas. Fine print. So now what does that do? Try to keep us in. We don't want you, we'll give you a loan, but don't come over here. So we'll curtail it to read, we're giving Hispanics and black people loans. You just got to stay over there. But we ain't going to say that part when you come in. These are the stipulations of this loan. Oh, that's what y'all call stipulations now. So if I qualify for $600,000, oh, well, the loans don't go that high. Oh, so how do they go? I think they cap around $250,000. Oh, okay. So is it really helping us? I mean, you can find a decent house for $250,000 in Lancaster, probably. It is good for investment properties if you're thinking on that line, right? But if you're looking, but then again, I think it's just first-time home buyers, so I don't think you can use it for an investment, right? So they won't let you do it on an investment, and then they're going to kill you on the taxes on that. So you got to understand what that looks like. Now, it's sad because our numbers have always been low. The heavier green is the denials, and the lighter green is the denials for the white community. Y'all see that disparity? Now, are we giving them the tools to deny us? We are. If your credit has been bad for 10 years, you're the problem. Because 9 times out of 10, your credit with the right credit specialist and really understanding, you can probably fix your credit anywhere on the low end, 90 days to maybe a year and a half. Shan, would you agree? If you had bad credit for 10 years, that's your fault. When I start credit repair, when we're doing houses, I hear the first thing. The first thing I hear is, yeah, this is stuff when I was young. I was crazy. Ma'am, you 50. Who to blame for the last 35 years? Right? So it's just us not opening it up and being fearful. Let's be honest. We don't want to hear the word no. We don't want to hear the word rejection. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear no, you can't get approved. Well, we know what happens if you do nothing. Right? So the only way for us to fix these denials and these turndowns and all these other things is doing exactly what your leaders are doing today. And that's putting you in rooms to get the education that you need. Right? Next slide. So let's talk about mortgage rates, student loans. These are issues that we have with getting approved. Rates are higher for blacks, and student loan debt is at an all-time high for blacks as well. We have to be careful when we're taking out loans and when we're shopping. So let me help you understand something. Who knows what a rate is, mortgage rate? Raise your hand. Who knows what the APR is? Raise your hand. What's the difference, though? Do they have to match? Should they match? Should they? We don't know. It would be nice. Because here's how they're able to hide charges from us. You can say the interest, I got a 2% interest rate, but your APR be 9. Annual percentage rate. How much money are you paying to borrow this money annually? If you walk into a dealership and you say, I want a good interest rate, they are inside laughing like, sucker, because I can hide it in the APR. You're trying to figure out why that Cadillac cost you $2 million and they had a sticker price for $53,000. Right. So before you actually hit the loan, as far as when you're buying anything, first you have to look at primary, the simple math. $300,000 for the house divided into 360 months if you're taking out a 30-year loan, right? That's no interest, that's no taxes, that's no insurance, that's no homeowners association, that's no mortgage insurance, whatever you have in your portfolio. So you want to understand what that number is, and then you want to look at getting your credit right so you can get what's called prime lending. Subprime lending is created for people that have low income, but they still want a house. Now, North Carolina, I'm glad. South Carolina, we still got a ways to go. North Carolina banned checking the cash about, 8-9 years ago? It's loan sharking is what it is. South Carolina, it's like checking the cash where you need money before your payday and you go get it. South Carolina, as long as you have it posted in a conspicuous place, in South Carolina, we don't have usury laws, which attack loan sharking. So it's 360% you have to pay back. If I borrow $1,000, I got to pay 360% back. So you want to make sure you're not getting subprime lending. You want to make sure when you're going to the banks, when you're dealing with a realtor, when you're doing anything that you need to know the rates, ask them, is this prime? Because sometimes if you don't ask, they won't tell you. And you'll sign and you'll be paying this thing back till Jesus come back. right? Student loans. Listen, we're going to have, the Bible said the poor will always be with us. So will student loans. I mean, it is what it is, right? They did in January, they did forgive all medical. So medical affects nobody anymore. So if you had medical bills and that's the only thing that was holding you up, car, house, medical has been erased. Matter of fact, it doesn't even show up on your credit anymore. Yep. Does not show up on your credit. So those are things that they're trying to do to help the community overall that we benefit from. Next slide, please. All right, credit score. Shan hit on this. This is very, 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 very important. We were not taught financial literacy, and because of that, it puts us in a negative place when it comes to trying to have buying power or financing anything. Who in here was taught, don't take out loans and don't use credit cards? Raise your hand. Yep. That's like a car with no motor. You're going nowhere. Like, you need credit to have credit. Right? You need credit to have credit. So here's where we get into this whole home buying thing, because this is 80% of the problem, is our culture not qualifying for housing. And it's usually because of three reasons. We overextend our budget, debt to income ratio. We have negative credit on our credit profile. And third, we don't save. If you're in this market to buy a house, you don't have great credit, you have a debt to income ratio that's not well, and you don't save money, this is not your market. This is a vicious market. This is not even the market for South and North Carolina. You know whose market this is? California and up north. You know why? They're realizing I can sell my house in New York or California because now it triples in price. I'll come to South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia, and I'll buy the same house for 3 times less, and I'll outbid everybody that's there. Because they just made $1.6 million on a house that really only cost $300,000-$400,000 here in South Carolina. So they come pay cash for a $300,000 or $400,000 house and still pocket $1 million. So we're competing with up north buyers. We're competing with all these buyers. So when you go to the table to get your business straight to buy a house, credit is very important. All right? So the difference in black and white household credit scores account for 22% of the home ownership gap. Remember, we own 41%, they own 75%. 20% of that, which is only like maybe 9-10% left, 20% of that is because of credit. And we don't understand how it works or what happens. Your credit score has a big impact on your mortgage rate and ultimately how expensive it's going to be to borrow money for a home purchase. The minimum credit score you need to get a house is typically 580 to 620, but the best rates go to the 740 clients. So here's the difference. A lot of people say, all right, you can get a house with a 580 score. You can. Here's something I want you to understand. You're not married to the rate, you're married to the house. So if it takes you getting in at 580, let's go ahead and get in at 580. But let's refinance this after we build our credit. Because you're going to pay 3 times the amount for this house than you should in fees and interest and all this other stuff. All right? So we need to make sure we're doing what we need to do. Just over 20% of black households have a credit score over 20%. There's 46 million people, black people, 2019 census. 46 million black people in 2019 census. Thank you. How many people have a 700 credit score? Only 9 million. That's 36 million of us left that have struggling credit. Now, if that ain't an epidemic, I don't know what is. Now, the crazy part about that is this. I'm going to get into it later. The crazy part about that is we have the lowest credit score as a race, but the biggest consumer. We contribute $1.6 trillion. If you take away our buying power, United States of America is hurting. If we all stop buying today, rates would drop. They would come knock on our door. Hey, is there anything we can do for you? You know how much $1.6 trillion is? All right, let me help you out. A millionaire can give you $1 every second. If I have $1 million, I can give you $1 every second. I run out of money in 11 and a half days. If I give you $1, if I got $1 million and I give you $1 every second, I'm going to run out of money in 11 and a half days. If I'm a billionaire, I can give you $1 every second and I would run out in 30 years. Now, can you imagine if I'm a trillionaire? How long I'm going to be here? That's how much money we're putting into this whole world, this whole United States of America. Now, the depressing part is this. Not even 1% of it goes back to our community. Right. Black dollar circulates with the black people for 6 hours. Circulates Jewish community, 25 days. Hispanic community, years. So you got to understand how that works, what that looks like, and what it does. Next slide. All right. How do we decrease this gap? Legislators put in place to combat the problem, systematic racism, financial literacy, all the stuff that we're doing now. So let's pause right here. So I want a house, and I don't know where to start. Here's the first place you have to start. You need to consult somebody that has the ability to get your credit where it needs to be. That's the first place you have to start, is getting your credit to where it needs to be. Typically, I would love to see, as a realtor, a client comes to me, I would love to at least see 620. At least. Because you're going to be able to qualify for more loans. So FHA and USDA, y'all hear those loans? Those are governmental loans that are sold back to the government. Let me really tell you the truth. Those loans, the credit score don't even come into play. The myth that you have to have a perfect credit score to buy a house, that's put on by risk analysts and the investors. There is no credit requirement to get a loan. Y'all realize that? It's just they know the people that are likely to pay it back fit this description. So now it's called compounding overlays. Banks will have more compounding overlays than a mortgage broker. I would advise you to shop around. All right? So if you stump your toe in the middle of the night and it's bleeding, you go to the ER, they're going to give you some aspirin, check your temperature, and they're going to send you to a podiatry, which is a foot specialist. He can tell you if it's broken, if we need to do surgery, or whatever. That's the difference. If you walk into a bank, those are ER people. Not all of them, most of them are, because they have so many overlays. They're looking for a 700, 800 score. We want you in, we want you out. We don't want to deal with you. Simply because they're not keeping the loan on the books most of the time. They're selling the loan. Anybody bought a house and then 2 minutes after you get into it, they sold your loan? They're selling it back to the government. Right? So then what happens is when you get a non-conforming loan, which is a conventional loan, it's a little harder to get because your debt to income has to be better. Your credit score has to be better. And all those things happen. You put down a little more money, but then you walk into the house with equity. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself in the best predicament so you can at least qualify for a conventional loan. Not talking down on anybody or any programs, but be careful of NACA. NACA. They will make you all these promises. I've had nightmares with people on NACA. NACA. NACA, I forgot what it stands for. To me, it's spelled SLOW because they slow as ever. Say again? Absolutely. You wonder why. They're all in cahoots.
Can you break down, because detail is just really key. Can you break down non-conventional?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you break down conventional?
Mm-hmm.
Break down non-confirming? Break those down to the simplest of compounds.
Yes, ma'am.
What I would like you to do, please,
Mm-hmm.
is give some intake on the best loan that you do want to go for.
And that best one is conventional. So let me explain to you what that is. Non-conforming loans. So y'all remember when we had the 2008 crash? Okay, that's exactly what Pastor was just talking about with non-conforming and conforming. So what happens is a non-conforming loan is not subject to the government. Non-conforming money comes from a pool of investors. Let's say this whole right side of the room were the A-team investors, and all of you were buyers. If your portfolio checks out, you can come over here and get a non-conforming loan. Now, you're going to have better credit because we're going to allow you to apply for more. You're going to be able to stay in whatever neighborhood you want to stay in. You're going to be able to apply for whatever loan you want to apply for because the government don't control our money. When the government controls your money, conforming loans, that's when they sell it back to the government. You ever heard of Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and all that good stuff? So there's a secondary company or secondary industry and a primary industry. The primary industry are the institutions we can walk into, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all those people. The secondary market is the government. The government tells all the banks, all right, we will give y'all $2 trillion in mortgages. Right? But the only ones that we're going to buy back are the people that have a 620, they've been on their job for a long time, they filed their taxes, and all this stuff looks good. If you loan to those people, the whole $2 trillion that we give you and you spend it, we'll buy it back. So what does that do for the bank? They just wash your money. They don't have to hold anything. They have no accountability because the government says, I'm going to buy it back. Here's what happened in 2008. Legislator by the name of Barney Frank, out of Washington said, it's every American's right to own a home. So we're going to switch the primary to the secondary, which means, government, you're going to buy back every loan that they send out. And we're not going to care if they have their books in a row. So anybody can come get a house. But the only way this happens is if they agree to adjustable rate mortgage. Which means we don't want them to keep it. We just want to get the money through the bank. So if you vote for this to happen and it works, then we'll wash your hand. So here's what happened. Everybody voted to do no-doc loans. People were making $12,000 a year buying $300,000, $400,000 houses. And then when the balloon hit, your payment go from $800 to $1,500, you can't pay for it. But that was the whole thing. What they wanted to do was get money to these big bank execs. As a congressman, you're capped at what you can make. But if all my buddies that owns the bank vote for this law, and then they cash out with $11 million bonuses at the end of the year, I'm going to invite you to my house for a cookout. What you think I'm coming with? A bag. Appreciate you for voting for that bill. Here you go. So the best loan to do is conventional because it does not tie your hands to all the conforming things that the government will put you on. FHA, so if I see a house that I want to buy and it's $435,000, I can use an FHA loan. Now, once that house gets to $580,000, I can no longer use FHA because then FHA has a limit on how much they loan. Right? Then you have to go conventional. Once it gets past 650, I can't use conventional anymore. It's now called jumbo. What loan you think black people consume the most? FHA. Here's how they keep us out of certain neighborhoods. All right, you can do this FHA for $600,000, $700,000. We'll let you do it because technically we can't discriminate on that. But we're going to invoke something called HOA policy that says if you live out here, your loan can't have an LTV of more than 90%. And let me tell you what that means. The regular FHA loan on a regular house is only 3.5%. So 3.5% of $200,000 is not a whole lot of money. But the minute you want to come and live on this side of town, we need you to put 20% down. What average African American has 20% to put down on a $400,000 house? Let's be honest. Oh, we're not discriminating. It's in the HOA. Well, who wrote it? Loan to value. So if the house is $450,000, I'm only going to give you 90% of $450,000. You got to come up with $45,000 to close on this house. If you can do it, you can move in. If you can't, well, we're not discriminating. It's just how the HOA was written. Yeah. So know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with these conforming and non-conforming loans. A lot of times they'll make you think, oh yeah, you're getting in the house, but we're not really creating generational wealth if they're making us buy in depreciating markets. Did y'all see the house that was appraised? The black couple, it was worth $1.5 million, but when the white appraiser came, she saw the pictures. She appraised it for $995,000. They called their white friend to come over, staged there. They reappraised it for $1.5 million, 2 weeks difference. Got to understand what's happening, what's going on. The only way we're going to get the equality that we need is by educating ourselves. This is not a hate speech. It's just us telling us we got to get our stuff together. And not understanding credit and not understanding what to do with our money keeps us in certain boxes. Your credit score is just a measurement of your trustworthiness. Y'all understand how deep that is? If you don't have good credit, you're not trustworthy. I'm sorry. So if a stranger walks over to you and says, Pastor, can I borrow $250,000? And he don't know them. No, I don't know you. Right? Hopefully it don't happen again. Right? If they don't pay back, right? But if he knows them, sure. You got an 800 credit score? Yeah, you can get whatever you want from the bank. But we get upset when they decline us, but they're really speaking to the fact that you can't be trusted. Back in 1800s, they put on a coin, it's not the metal, but the trust. Why do you think every piece of money that's printed in the United States of America after 1863 has what? In God we trust. The dollar, what is printed on means nothing. It's what's behind it, the backing that it has. So your trust score reflects your level of trust. Some gas prices was higher than credit scores not long ago. That's bad. So we have to be cognitive and understand what's happening when we're going to get these houses. So the next part, once you get your credit straight, you need to identify a realtor. Make a relationship with the realtor. And listen, don't wait until you get your credit right. Foster that relationship with the realtor now. Because realtors are looking for what we call pipeline. That's business that's coming in the future. Because if you don't buy today, you're going to buy 6 months, a year from now. And then when I see you buying and I turned you down, I'm going to be upset. Get a realtor that's educated, that understands the credit profile, the credit language, and that has the ability to put you in the right spaces. And somebody that has a great work ethic. They're going to send you houses. They're going to take you out. They're going to be on time. They're going to show you what you need. They're going to put you in the best places. Now, certain things realtors can't say. So if you feel like, well, they're not doing their job, if you ask a realtor, well, how's the crime in this area? By law, they can't tell you. That's discriminatory. You have to go look on the statistics or wherever crime is reported and go look for yourself. The best thing you need to do is ride by after 5 o'clock when everybody get off work. You'll know what that neighborhood look like then. You see pit bulls tied to cars that don't work, and all y'all cousins out there changing oil in the middle of the street, right? So that's the best time to go vet these neighborhoods to see what you're getting into. And then start, we're not involved in the political arena enough. If you follow county meetings, city meetings, you know where to buy with where businesses are going. I was coming in just now. They have all the city meetings on a billboard. Who knows when the next city meeting is for your area? Raise your hand. The government was established by God. Oh, y'all don't believe that? It was. Government has been in place for a while. The Bible talks about law enforcement in Romans. Those that do wrong don't have to fear the sword. That's the word of God. So you got to understand, in order for you to have access to some of these things, you got to put yourself in the know. You'll know what's happening, what's coming, and what's going. You know where to buy. You know not to invest into a mobile home that's depreciating the minute you buy it. Not for investments, yeah, but not to live in to gain equity from, is what I'm saying. That's how you started out, cool. Now let's elevate. Let's go to another level. All right, once you get the credit, once you got the realtor, it's now you deciding what your must-haves are. A lot of problems with a lot of our culture, we want a $10 million house in our first house. Come on. Come on. Grow into it.
Can you just give an example? And I'm not saying that everybody doesn't know, but just give an example of a mortgage calculator that they can somehow download for their own knowledge, that when you're looking for a house for a certain amount, with decent credit, this might be the calculation possibly that you will be in. So I think a lot of times what happens is people look at it and they don't understand, not just that ratio, but they don't understand what this calculation could be.
Right.
Because if you're looking at a house for a certain percentage, what would be the ballpark calculation based on your credit?
Right.
So a good mortgage calculator, when you were looking, is good. And I think you should download it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because everybody looks, who does not look at Zillow for houses? Raise your hand. Right. Everybody look at Zillow for houses, right? There's a mortgage calculator on Zillow. And like she was saying, you got to understand what you're looking at. So you'll see a house that's gorgeous and it says the payment's only $400. Yeah, that's only principal. That's the house divided by 360. Then you got to calculate interest. That depends on your credit score. Then you have to calculate taxes. Then you have to calculate HOA fees. Then if you don't put 20% down, there's something called mortgage insurance. So now that $400 went from $400 to $19. Right? Now, down payment assistance. There are programs out there that will give you down payment assistance. Now, you have to go through some programs. You got to do certain things. You got to go through, whatever you're doing to get those things. But there are some companies out there, lenders, that do offer down payment assistance. Here's the crazy part about that. If you get it from the government, it constitutes as a second mortgage. So you don't walk in with equity because you've already tapped out. So that's why it's important for you to save. If you're looking to buy a house now, you're going to need probably about 7 to 8, stretching maybe to 10% if you're buying in Charlotte, to have for down payment. Because when you go buy a house, if you're not buying a brand new home, if you are buying a brand new home, first, after you get under contract, right? You got good credit, you get under contract, now you have to pay for an inspection. This is the hardest thing for me to convey to our community. Get an inspection. Well, how much is that? $600. I ain't paying that. So you're going to pay $450,000. But you want to buy a $600 inspection? You're buying an inspection. I have made my clients buy inspections. And when they look at the inspection report, I'm so glad you remember. Yeah, I know, because we found latent problems that we didn't know existed. Unless you're buying that. Well, even with as is, there's something called due diligence with as is. So I can buy it, and you'll give me 10 days to inspect it. If I find something I don't like, I can back out and I get my money back. But you know, once you buy it, it's yours. But if you're buying as is, ask for as is with due diligence. Now, if you're a contractor, it is what it is. You buying whatever's wrong with it. But if you're buying it to live in it and they post, well, this house is as is, we're not fixing anything, that's cool. Let me find out what's wrong with it before I say yeah completely.
Can you dispel? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just asking what y'all afraid to ask. So can you dispel the rumors when you're buying an as-is property, the negotiating part? Because sometimes, you know, the main things when you're buying an as-is property, because you're going to talk about foreclosure too, is the foundation and the pipe. And so when you have a property and it's an as-is property, sometimes people feel like that's a negotiating thing.
Right.
When it comes down to the sale of the house. That's not always the case.
It's not. So what is that? The price is always negotiable? Okay.
Because a long time ago when I was purchasing property, it was almost like it became like a bargain because the pipes were busted. And so therefore if you could take 20% or take $20,000 off. That's not always the case when you're getting a property as an as is. But I think sometimes people go in saying, okay, I want a house so bad, I'll take the problems and it won't be so bad.
Right. Right.
That's the misnomer that I want to dispel, that anyone that's going in buying a home for the first time don't fall for that. That's not what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because then you're stuck with their problems and you just got it for cheaper. So now you have a depreciated home that has issues. Here's the key. There's something called a 203K loan. A 203K loan allows you to buy a house in as-is condition as long as it's not structural damages, and it gives you up to $35,000 to make repairs. Right? Every loan has a repair attached to it, a VA repair, a FHA repair, a conventional repair. All of them will give you money to repair things as long as they're not structural. If you need to paint, you need flooring, you need joists done, you need sheetrock, whatever you need, as long as it's not structural, you have the ability to do it. What happens is they give you the money, they put the $35,000 in escrow. When you close on the house, you're a certified, licensed contractor, not your uncle that worked for a six-pack. Right? He come over there needing a hammer, he ain't got nothing but saws. Like, what you doing? So you have to know that they're going to put that money in escrow. And you have 90 days to complete that repair. Once they complete the repair, they're going to send a licensed inspector to inspect the house. After they inspect the house, they're going to cut the contractor check. You move in, new house. Yes. That's federal. All loans are federal. There's no loan that's to the state. Yes. Great question. No, because the repair has nothing to do with what you're actually financing through that. So your DT, right? So your DT, it's not like, well, I'm going over my purchase price by adding this $35,000. They don't calculate the repair costs into what you're financing. Great question. Debt to income. So yeah. So if a lot of times we like a house, we got good credit, but our bills overshadow what we make. So the DTI for a conventional loan is 44 to 46%. You can't exceed that. FHA, you can go a little higher because they're trying to get you in it, and it's for low-income housing. Now, here's the problem with that. The higher you go, the more money you're eating up coming in. So a lot of people are house poor. All they have is the money to pay their house and nothing else. And then that's when you start to trickle into foreclosure. Yes. Yes, you sure can. And that's a great segue. If you're trying to own a house and you want to start your portfolio, I suggest buying multifamily. Live in one, rent the other one. And then hire a realtor or company to be the landlord so the people that are living out there with you don't know who you are. So you can get a check for the other two. And getting approved for those are easier because the banks see those as asset-producing incomes. So your debt to income is not affected as much as it is if you're just buying a house that you're paying on. This is appreciating and you're getting paid to live in it. Then when you get your weight up, you move out of that, put somebody else in your spot, and now you just started your rental portfolio. Yes, as long as you pay it back, you're good. Yeah, there's no limit to that.
Is
Yes, ma'am.
there a time frame for you to have to stay in that property?
On
if you do that?
conventional, no. FHA, yes. Just depends on, now that will reflect from lender to lender. Great segue. All right, where were we? Anybody else had a question? All right, next slide, and we'll answer whatever questions come up. All right. Here are some money statistics that I want to get into when we're talking about buying houses and all this stuff and investment stuff. 63% of 63% of Americans don't have $500 for an emergency fund. 1 out of 2, that means more than half of everybody you see does not have the ability to put their hands on $500 for an emergency. 889,000 people as of 2019 filed for bankrupt. 1 in every 10 black person has a financial advisor. 1 in every 3 white person does. If you don't have a plan for your money, somebody else does. If you don't have a plan for your money, somebody else does. There was a study a couple of Christmases ago, it was way before the pandemic. They were doing a study, I forgot what college, they were doing this study. They were paying people to do a CAT scan. And what they were doing is they were lighting different scents, and they would play music, and they would put you in this CAT scan to see how your brain performed to certain smells and certain music. Because a certain portion of your brain, once something overtakes it, your rationale to make decisions goes out of the window. All right, let me help you understand it. Anybody notice the music in the mall got louder? Anybody notice how good the mall smells? That's strategic. Because when you're shopping, your song coming on, you in the zone, you just swiping the card. Then when you get outside and you park by the dumpster, you're like, wait, did I just spend my rent money? If you don't have a plan for your money, somebody else does. Right? Now, those first 3 bulletins were very, very, very depressing. But then when you get to this 4th one, it said fast food industry made $278 billion. I couldn't even put the other portions on there. $278 billion in the fast food industry. No wonder Chick-fil-A says my pleasure. They have 2,200 stores stateside. All of them produce more than $5 million a year. No, wait. We can't find $500 for an emergency fund. 899,000 people are filing bankrupt, and we're not talking to financial advisors, but Chick-fil-A makes $278 billion? The average net worth at retirement, black family, $24,000. White, $188,000. All right, an investment tip. Who has a job that your job offers 401k and you're not paying into it? Be honest, you're in church. You have a job, they offer 401k and you don't pay into it. Thank you for being honest, sir. He ain't the only one. Who else? Raise your hand. Come on now. All right? You got to understand. You have to understand how investments work. The reason why we're not talking about that is because we don't understand it. And we shy away from things that we don't understand. I don't know what no 401k is. I don't know who K is. Go find out. Go find out who K is. Right? And even if you don't want to do a 401k, there are other plans out there. 457B, you can do an IRA Roth. There are so many things that you can do. You want to become your own bank, you can open up an insurance policy, put that in the trust. Now let the trust work for you, and then it misses probate. There's so many things you can do.
Can you go into details about 401k?
Yeah, so for
Go into some companies' percentage to match.
right.
Break it down to the simple.
Got you. So 401k is just another way for you to take your money and put it into a vehicle where you can retire and have more than what you had when you started, right? So 401k is simply, you ever heard of S&P, the stock market? S&P 500. It's called Standard & Poor's. There are 500 companies that are involved in the S&P market. So when you drop your money into S&P, you drop your money into 500 companies. Now, it moves a little slower because this index is marginal investing, right? It's a little slower, so it's a little safer. Now, if you take single stock, like you dump a whole bunch of money in the Apple, a whole bunch of money in the Nike, a whole bunch of money in Louis Vuitton, it moves a little quicker because it's more volatile, right? So the S&P, so let's say you say, all right, I want to do 6% of my check to go into a 401k. Now, most companies will match. Here's the thing. We can go up to 15% a year legally. So if they're matching, that's 30% every year. You know how well you're off when you retire with 30% every year for 25 years? Right? Now, here's the problem. I want all my money up front. All right? What are you doing with it, though? So, here's what you need to do. Yes, ma'am. Well, let me finish this. Go to your HR rep tomorrow, or when you go back to work, Tuesday, because we're off Monday, right? Go to your HR rep Tuesday and tell them, I want to look at options for getting into 401k. Your HR rep is going to send you a pamphlet of what to do. You're going to call that rep. That rep legally has to guide you through the plans that they have. And you ask them, hey, what's the best investment for me? Now they're going to ask you, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to have for retirement? You're trying to save for grandkids? What are you trying to do? Because everybody's portfolio is different. We're all not saving and investing for the same reason. Some are doing it for we want to invest in the property. Some are doing it for grandkids. Some are doing it because we want a vacation when we empty nest. Whatever you want to do. But you need to look into it. Labor funds now, investments fund the future. So go to your HR rep, tell them I want to look into 401k. All right? So that's what that simply is. They just know how to retire and put money away through their entities and vehicles. Yes, sir.
Also, like I started my 401k when I was 18.
Wow.
But I wasn't educated, so when I left a job, I was like, I want my money up front. So I cashed out. I did not know.
You got taxed.
You know, we're lent, and you can your
Roll it.
401k can go wherever you go. It doesn't matter about if you lose the job or not.
Absolutely. So what he's simply saying is, when you ask for your money up front, they tax you 30% for pulling it out early. It depends on what state you're in. It may be a little different because you got state tax and federal tax, right? So they tax you for pulling out early. Now, if you decide that I don't want this money to leave with me, you can roll it into a IRA Roth, which is an individual retirement account. That's usually what entrepreneurs do that don't have a 401k. You buy a Roth. And you start to have your own retirement plan from the money you're making in your own entity. So if you ever leave a job and go from job to job, you can roll it over. And if you roll it out of an account into another account, it's not taxed. Got it? Yes, ma'am. You had your hand up. Right.
What funds ones are in there that are performing well. Because if you notice, I hate to say it, when in 2020 and the stock market did what
Yes.
it did, everyone's 401k looked a little bit janky, right?
Yes.
That was why, because a lot of people do not know that their 401k is tied to the stock market. So you have that service fee that you pay that will allow you to call those people up to say, hey, how is this performing, and ask those questions. So what he said was true, that you can call to say how to get into your 401k, how to start doing those allocations, but also ask how these certain forms of allocations are performing so I can actually start making money and knowing if I need to adjust it as you go on. So he was correct. So.
You work in HR?
No, I
Okay.
talk about personal finance.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. It was one of the two. All right. Black buying power. We talked about that is 1.6 trillion right now. That's a lot of buying power. That's a lot of buying power. Black ain't broke. Black is not broke. Again, this is not hate speech. It's just educating. Black Lives Matter started going up in a whole bunch of windows of people that weren't black owners. Why you think? Because they want you to come spend. Oh, we support y'all. No, you don't. You want my wallet. It's lucrative. We're lucrative. We're very lucrative. All right? We just got to know how to make that money come back to us. All right, I saw another hand before we move forward. Yes, ma'am.
The 401k, I'm sorry. Yes. The 401k, the 457B, the IRA, Roth, and then you said something about an insurance policy, and you said that real fast. We need to know about that.
Insurance is IUL, Index Uniform Life. That's a compounding option you can put on top of an insurance policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Policy?
I think they have to be coupled together at the time of purchase, but I can find out. I have a staff that can walk you through that whole process. Yes, ma'am. Also, while we're there, who has insurance through their job? Raise your hand. Life insurance. Guess who does not own the policy? You. Your job has insurance on you, and when you die, they get a fat check. You need to have a policy that's separate from your job. You own the policy, because guess what? When you leave that job, guess what happens to your life insurance policy? Done. So you need to own the policy. They just don't like you. Oh, yeah, we give you life insurance. No, if you die, they get a big check. Yes, sir. Now, if you have a policy through your bank, you own that policy. You work at the bank? Okay, yeah. No, you own that policy. Yeah. Yeah, you own that policy. But if you have life insurance through your place of employment, they own the policy. And you're making the payment on it. Ain't that crazy? You paying for their policy. So you want to own your own policy. All right, next slide. All right, this is a word we don't like to talk about often. This prepares us for buying anything major, but more to the point, it prepares us for buying a house. Budgeting is so instrumental in understanding how money works. Budgeting is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Budgeting will not make you rich, but it will keep you from being poor. Right? So, how often should you budget? Weekly, bi-weekly, however often you get paid. All right, let's be honest. Who's sitting down with their finances at least once a week, bi-weekly, or once a month? Don't lie, you're in check. You're sitting down with your finances, seeing what you spent and what went out, what came in. Let's be honest. I saw too many hands. Statistically, that's a lie. How many? Let's do this one more time. Who's budgeting at least once or twice a month? Raise your hand. Now, okay, let me define budgeting. You're making changes as to where you're seeing surplus of money go out, because you can just look at the numbers and say, well, I'm budgeting. You just transfer. Y'all think transferring is budgeting. It's not. Well, I'm going to slide this 100 over. Well, you done slid over 50 times this month, right? Got you. All right. So budgeting is very important because it lets you see what you can pay. When the banks are considering you for a loan, they're looking at what you're spending, your debt to income ratio. They're looking at what's going out to what's coming in. So if they're looking at it, if that's a protocol for them, it should be a protocol for you. Now, their numbers are a little skewed. I don't really like their numbers because it doesn't go with inflation. Right now, they're saying 50, 30, 20. 50% of your income should only be consumed by needs. 50% of your income should only be consumed by needs. Needs mean life does not stop if I don't have it. Y'all got that? That's the money you're talking about, all right? 30% of your income should be wants. And then 20% of your income should be savings and debt repayment. Now, because of inflation, it's kind of hard to live on that. 50, 30, 20. 50% of your income should be needs. 30% of your income should be wants. 20% of your income should be debt repayment and saving. Got it? Do I make enough to budget? That's a lot of people's question. I don't make enough. Well, you do. You just spend too much. There's a proverb that says a man that doesn't have money to pay his bills has too much of something else. Right? So whenever my clients come in, because I created a company back in 2018 because I saw our people didn't know money. So I created a company called Money Smart University. You would come in and do a consultation with me. I would sit you down and I would go over your income. You had to show me everything. If I'm going to walk through this process with you, I got to see it all. You know I've been homeless, so there's nothing that you can do. My credit was so bad, they checked my money twice. You know that holding up to the light? They started that because of me. Just kidding. So they had to show me everything. And I would ask them, who do you work for? Oh, I work for the school district. And I'm looking at their bank statements. No, who do you work for? Oh, I work for the police department. Who do you work for? Oh, no, I work, AT&T. No, who do you work for? I just told you. No, that's where you get your check. You work for these merchants to the left. Bed Bath & Beyond, Victoria's Secret, Chick-fil-A, Beauty Hair and Nail Posh. Y'all realize that? Most of us are going to work for big consumers. Chick-fil-A has more employees than they really know. They're hiring workers, but the people that really work for them are consumers. Next slide. How do I budget? So debt to income, simply what goes in as to what goes out, sitting down once a week, bi-weekly. A budget is a living, breathing document simply because it changes. What do you mean it changes? Money changes, income changes, things happen. It's a living, breathing document that you constantly have to look at. I used to be a 9-to-5. I know you get an extra check on some of the months. Y'all know the months down pat. And them months they don't take out that insurance. What y'all doing with the money? Oh, thank God. No, save it. Right? The problem with extra money is we create extra bills. What is extra money? You ain't got no extra money, do you? No. No extra money for you. What are you talking about? Right? But when we get extra money, we create bills that we don't normally have. Next slide. All right, let's do an exercise. Take out your phone. If you were my client, this is how we would start. Take out your phone. Everybody go to your calculator. Who in here feels like they don't have enough money to budget? Bills just consume me. I just don't have enough money to budget. Be honest. Okay. All right. Take out your phone. I want you to calculate what your monthly income is after taxes. Now, if you're sitting too close to your neighbor, cover your phone up. What do you bring home after taxes? Got it? Monthly. Multiply that number by 0.20. 20%. Whatever you bring home after taxes, multiply that number by 0.20. All right? Got it? Who's been on their job more than 3 years? Raise your hand. Okay. Multiply that number by 36, because that's 3 years of employment. The number you have now, multiply that by 36. So that'll give you 3 years. That number should be in your savings account. And I only took 20% of what you make. Hey, let me ask y'all a question. Seriously, if you go home right now and you find your door kicked in, all your belongings are all over the floor, you see a watch that you just bought, who do you call? Police. Who do you call when you're the thief? If you can't find that number that's on your calculator, you the thief. And that's only 20% of your income. All right, there's no way, Damian. Okay, let's break this down. Zero that out. We dealing with honesty? All right, how often a week do you go out to eat? Don't lie and say I cook every day. Don't do it, because we see $278 billion at Chick-fil-A, so don't do that. All right, how often do you go out to eat? It's always, oh, I don't eat out. It's always the one to say that. I don't eat out, right? I just saw y'all last week, right? It was at the same restaurant. All right, how many times a week do you eat out for lunch? 5 times a week? Thank you for being honest. Average. Average cost. $20 on lunch, all right? Dinner. About $40, $50 on dinner, all right? That's a week. So 20 plus 40, 50. So that's 60 times 5, 300. How many times you eat out on the weekend? That's an average of maybe $120 on the weekend, 4 coming in pack. So 120 times 4 plus 500. What's that number? Some of y'all are eating better than y'all drive. Nah, you ain't getting them numbers from me now. Don't say this big black man at my church told me to tell you. No. This is financial, not marriage counseling. Right? But that's a lot though. That's a big consumption. Right? If you're eating out $20 a day for lunch, and then you come in and eating $40 for dinner, 5 days a week, and then you're doing the same thing on the weekend, you're averaging about $800 to $1,100 eating out a month. You're eating better than you're driving. There's more money in your intestines than there are in your accounts. Because we're not budgeting. So whenever I show my clients that number, they look at me the same way. Ain't no way, Bo. All right, bring out your taxes. I mean, your bank statements. Well, yeah, that month I had. Yeah, I know. What? Let's go back 3 months. Well, yeah, you know, that month too. It's a cycle. How do you stop the leak? See, the greatest invention that the banks ever came up with was a debit card. You know why? Because we're not conscious. As long as it say approved, we speaking in tongues on our breath anyway. Lord, don't embarrass me at this counter. And when they go through, you get a little quickening. Oh, that was just overdraft protection. That's all that was. When you open that account, it's negative 327. That wasn't God, that was overdraft. I got a buddy of mine that's a branch manager. He said for Christmas one year, they made $20 million that year from overdraft fees. 20 million. Banks, if you understand it, banks are not supposed to make money from consumers. Banks make money from investing. They take your deposit and then they invest it in something else. That's why when you go in, you got a lot of money in the bank and you say, I want to pull my money out of this bank. They have to now defund an investment. They ain't worried about your little $5. Well, you come get this, ma'am, right now. We'll cash app it to you. Don't even come up to the bank. But they're making $20 million off of us by overdraft fees because we don't know how to say no. We don't have discipline. We're not sitting down looking at what we're spending. And I only took 20%. What are you doing? Think about it. If you don't have that number, what are you doing with the other 80? What if we did 80 multiplied by those months? Where's that money? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's called sourcing. So when you buy a house, you can't make large deposits because, one, they're trying to make sure that they are not funding something to some, somebody said stripper. No, they'll fund the stripper. They don't want, plenty of them, great clients. They don't want to fund any illegal terrorist or drugs or things of that nature. So they want to know where this large deposit come from, right? So if it exceeds 90% of your income for that month, you're going to have to do what's called sourcing. All right? All right. Next slide. All right, what is credit? It's the trust which allows one party to provide money to resources to another person, a party, wherein the second party does not reimburse the first party immediately, but promises either to repay or to return the resources later. Not the coin, but the trust. We talked about that. All right, next slide. Credit and how it works. What affects my credit and how? There are several things that affect your credit. Shan, keep me in line on this one, all right? So payment history is big. This is the best credit advice you're ever going to hear in the world. It's like, he's kind of arrogant. No, I'm serious. Here it is. Pay them people. Pay them. They're not going to stop calling. They're just going to keep reporting. Just because you ignore them, they don't go away. And most of the time, we only want to check our credit when we get denied. Wait a minute, because I know I had good credit. No, you didn't. Here's how you know when a person don't know their credit score. They start out with these words. Last time I checked. Oh, here we go. What's your credit score? Well, the last time I checked, I'm thinking, yeah, we in for one tonight, right? You should be looking at your credit score as much as you do anything else. Should be checking that score, right? Oh, Credit Karma is one, which is not that great, but it's a free one. Identity IQ is another one. Wallet Hub. My FICO is probably that's the best one.
MyFICO.com, the $39.95 membership. That is the best membership for credit reporting, credit scores that you can monitor your credit. They have different FICO score scale models. So especially when it comes to conventional mortgage FICO score scaling, that's where you're going to get your most accurate scores.
Mm-hmm. And Shan, she can attest to this. We think it's Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. There's so many more. There's a FICO 2, 5, 8, 6. Like, there's so many things that goes into play.
Right. There's so many different models, and if you're dealing with a credit union, they're going to have a different score scale model than the traditional corporations like in the banking industry. Typically, most credit unions are going to deal solely with Equifax, and they may deal with Experian.
It's good to call when you're trying to make a purchase and see what credit they're going to be pulling. Now, to see what credit they're going to be pulling. Now, here's what you can do. If you know you have a low TransUnion score and they're pulling Equifax, you can call and freeze everyone that's not affected and allow them to only see the one that they're pulling. So let's say you go to Navy Federal and they pull Equifax and you have a high Equifax. But when they pull, they're going to get TransUnion and they're going to get Experian. If you have some derogatories on that, they're going to judge you by the derogatories that they see. But if you freeze the other two, then they can only see the good one that they're pulling. Absolutely.
With Navy Federal, different credit unions and banks is going to be demographic based. So depending upon where you are, zip code, even in being in this area, the Charlotte area, depending upon if you're in Huntersville, Cornelius, that demographical area is going to determine who they're going to use. So I do have a listing. I have an Excel spreadsheet where we can determine who they're typically going to pull from if anyone wants to know.
That's vital information. Y'all definitely need to take advantage of that, please. So, payment history. What else? Payment history is one. The age of the account on your credit. Sometimes, everybody know that one uncle that just got, 800 credit score. He come to the cookout in his Cadillac, just, he got it, right? He's been paying that Fingerhut card since the 70s. Yeah. The trench coat with the tie around it, he had it for a long time. But that's because he's had aged accounts. So the age of an account also will boost your score as well. And then the number of accounts that you have. So there's two kinds of credit. There's installment and then there's revolving. Installment is when you get goods for something and you trade money for it. So if I get a lamp from Rent-A-Center or if I get something from Rooms to Go, they're going to report as long as I have an outstanding balance for that good. That's installment. A house is an installment. A car is an installment. Right? Revolving is when I borrow money that I don't have to secure with collateral. And it reports no matter whether I'm paying on it or not. It's going to report. The strongest of the two, of course, is revolving. So you want to have those accounts. That's why I'm saying staying away from credit cards is not plausible because you need credit to build credit. So if you want to start out with that, I'm going to let Shannon take that role because that's definitely her lane, right? But start out with getting a secure card. Send them some money. They'll send you a card back, and you can start it that way. And when you build up enough trust, enough faith to do it, then you can start with applying for the bigger cards.
Can I say something really quick?
Absolutely, you can.
So we can use two companies called Kickoff and Self as a start, and then we work our way to a partial secured card. That way you don't have to fully fund the $200 to $500. Now, a secured card can be very helpful because if you're going to do any type of traveling and need to rent a car, most of the time you have to have a credit card, right? So if you get with me after service or inbox me directly, we just want to start from the foundation and work our way up. And sometimes you can just get approved for a regular credit card without having to go to a bank and get a secured credit card.
Great information. Please take advantage of that. Please. You have that. You're here? This ministry?
Yes, we have a credit repair office here.
Incredible. Please take advantage. Due date versus statement date. This is tricky. This is like words that sound the same but have different meanings. Due date versus statement date. All right, so you have a credit card, And here's where a lot of people get tripped up. The due date is the 1st. Statement date is the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, however that works. From the 1st through the 8th, your balance needs to be 10% or less. After it appears on your statement that you've paid it, you can use that card from the 9th to the 30th. You can burn it up. But you need to be paying it back to 10% at the due date. You got to leave that money alone for about 4 or 5 days. When it hits your account that it's down to 10%, then you can use it again. Honestly, you should never be using your debit card at all. You should only use credit. Because if you spend $300, what happens to that $300? It's gone. If you use $300 in credit and you pay it back, what happens? Comes right back. It recycles. So the goal is to get a card that will cover all of your expenses. And every month you pay the credit card back and let the credit card people draft from, or let the bill people draft from your credit card. And then that way you're gaining points, you're doing all this other stuff, and you're also building your credit. Right? All right, next one. Leverage. The problem with most people financially is they don't know how to leverage their relationships, opportunities, or chances. So they stay in a financial place because it gives them comfort to just do a thing. They never complete it because of procrastination, laziness, or the most important one, they don't understand. You have to leverage let me show you the power of leverage. I was in the store, saw Michelle. She said, "Hey, aren't you?" "Yeah, I attend this church." "Cool, we need to come bring you out." I'm here only because of leverage. The things that you have, the things that you know, you have to use those things to gain the upper hand in your financial situation. Make sense? Now that you know better, all of you have a choice today. You'll walk out of here and you'll make a decision to be either that 63% of people that don't have $500 emergency fund, that are filing for bankrupt, that are giving Chick-fil-A all their money, or you'll be a part of that other percentage that says, today, I make a decision to have something. We're all given the same time, same space, same opportunity. I live by a creed that says the opportunity of a lifetime only lasts the lifetime of the opportunity. The opportunity of a lifetime only lasts the lifetime of the opportunity, which means I don't have all day to get it done. Some of us, we've allowed opportunities to pass us by, and we don't know how to leverage moments. We're bumping into opportunities all the time. We just are so skeptical about wealth that if it's not coming, and I hate to say this, but if it's not coming from a prophet, we don't think it's God. When Christ started the church, he didn't have a praise and worship leader. He didn't have a musician. He didn't have an armor bearer. He had 12 businessmen. And he started a church. It should be in our community that we never have to have, and if it is, okay, we got to move from that we never have to have a fish fry. We never have to sell donuts. We don't have to have, if we have a bake sale, it's because we just like red velvet, not because we're trying to buy a screen door. Because there's too much money floating through our hands for us to be in lack. Now, wealth, you have to define what wealth is for you. Because what wealth is for me and what wealth is for you and the next person doesn't look the same. Wealth could be all my bills are paid, I have money left over, and we're going to go on a nice vacation. That's wealth. Now, Biggie said it best, more money, more problems. Believe that. Get some money and find out. The cousins you never knew you had. So you got to understand, you have to redefine your wealth, and you have to address the issues that you've been looking away from. A better church is a better people. Salvation simply means being spared from impending danger. That means Christ died so we miss hell. But your money should be saved as well. Your relationships, your finances. You can't be saved and your money be a sinner. Salvation is holistic. So he can't be the God that just heals, but we're all broke. I'm not saying we are, just saying the culture of who we are. He can't be the God that delivers, and we never have wealth. Jesus didn't say, I wish above all things you would prosper. It's what one of the fellows that was traveling with one of the prophets said. I think it was Gaius. He said, listen, I wish you would prosper, be in health, even as your soul prosper. I think that declaration can be put on us, that we can prosper, be in health, even as our soul prosper. But it's not just we come to church and then we leave and don't know how we're going to have anything. And we get locked into being afraid to talk about money because of the negative connotation that we've allowed people to put on it. And honestly, they're right when they say all we do is give the church all our money. That's a true statement. All we do is give the church all our money. You know why? Because we squander the 90 Friday and Saturday. The only thing we have left on Sunday is the 10. And we make God look like he's just out here robbing us for the 10, when 2 days you spent the 90. So we got to debunk that myth, that rumor. Right? We got to debunk that. We have to debunk that. All right? So the only way you're going to do that is if you understand how money works. My company simply reintroduces you to money. My mom had me at 19, very young. So I had a vision about money. We were on welfare. So it came from somewhere else, and it was never enough. That was my vision about money. So when I got it, I mishandled it. I didn't understand it. Let me tell you how important you understanding money is as well. Because there are little people, if you have children, they're watching you. If you want to know your money habits, give your child $100 today. And wait for them to ask you where can they go spend it. Where did they learn that from? If they never say, let me go deposit some money into the bank, because they never hear you talking about it. But if they want to go out to eat and go get a bag and go get cakes and cookies, guess where they see it from? You're teaching them without teaching them. And then when we get older, we revenge parent. I'm going to give my child everything that I didn't have. Well, that's you just trying to get back at your parents. And the only thing that's really happening is you're giving them what they didn't have, which is financial literacy. Because the garment or the shoes that will be outdated or too small for them in 6 months will do nothing for them in 20 years. So now you're revenge parenting because it wasn't given to you. So if we're not creating generational wealth, we're creating generational poverty. And we can trace it back to great-grandma to great-grandma. There's a story, 4 generations of mothers were in the kitchen. 3 generations of mother was in the kitchen. And the mama took out a ham, cut it in half, threw half of it in the trash can. The daughter said, why'd you do that? She said, I don't know, ask your grandma. She asked her grandma, she said, why'd you do that? She said, oh, my pan was too small 20 years ago. So we're throwing away half of our wealth only because the pan was too small 20 years ago. We're doing learned behavior of people that didn't have enough. So we're teaching lack. Go get a bigger pan. You have to change your mindset. I'm hosting a conference here November 10th, 11th, and 12th here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's called 8-Inch World. It's a mastermind. The whole essence behind it is simply this. There are 7.87 inches between both ears. If you round up, that's 8 inches. That's the real world that we live in. When you conquer your mind, you can conquer the world. Here's the problem. The problem is 13 million. It was 13 million. Every day you wake up, from the age of 5 to where you are now, every day you wake up, you make 35,000 decisions. How you get up, what side of the bed you get out on, whether you brush your teeth, use the bathroom, take a shower, you get something to eat, check your phone, read your Bible, pray, whatever you do. From the time you wake up, from the time you go to sleep, you make 35,000 decisions. In a week, you make 242,000 decisions. And in a year, you make 12,740,000 decisions. If you round up, that's 13 million decisions in 365 days. You mean to tell me not one decision puts you in a different place financially? Not one. If I gave you a gun, one target, 13 million bullets, and you couldn't hit it once, who's the problem? 13 million decisions that we make in a year. One of them should put us in a different place financially. Next slide. The cost of inaction. So the opportunity lifetime only lasts a lifetime opportunity. A lot of you will leave here and say, it's going to cost me too much to get to where I want to be. That's one way to look at it. Here's the other part. What is it costing you for not getting to where you need to be? Some of you are okay with making 30 or 40, 50,000 living where you are. But because you won't act, you're missing 250,000 in a bigger house. The cost of inaction. You have an opportunity to change your life. What you do with it is your problem. Next slide. I have a 10-step program that I'm going to go through real quickly. Now, it's real funny because it's a numerical step, and you have to write it horizontal. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't write it vertical. Write it horizontal. This 10-step program is a sure way for you to understand how to be wealthy. But I'm going to give it to you in numbers. You ready? First number is 8. Second number is 0. Third number is 3. Fourth number is 7. Fifth number is 2. Sixth number is 9. Seventh number is 0. Eighth number is 2. Ninth number is 2. And the 10th number to this 10-step program is 1. That's my phone number. This 10-step program will put you exactly where you need to be. All right? I want to really see you guys take advantage of the ability to have wealth. My program that I put people through is normally $1,000 for 3 months. Normally. But because of the leverage relationship, if I may, if you sign up for this program and you're from this church, I will do a 3-month evaluation on your finances for only $300. $700 discount. This information you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life. So when you understand your place and where you are now, it's all directly tied to what you believe you're supposed to have. I can't exert faith for you. Your finances and your possessions are parallel to what you believe. Most of the time, if you don't have it, it's because you don't believe it. Because everything that you believe in, you've mostly acquired. or that you believe was obtainable. Now, my rule is if you cancel twice on a consultation, we done. Time is important. And I want you to be serious about it. If you sign up today, I have books in the back. If you sign up today, I'll autograph a book for you. That book is Shatter Expectations and Opposition. It's about being the boss of your own life. I talk about some of the things that I went through being a business owner, the success of growing fast and the struggles of growing fast. But if you are living, you are a CEO because you manage yourself. Okay? Don't take it for granted. Like I said before, a pastor that's concerned about your 90%, that's not common. You do have uncommon leaders. It's not common for a pastor to be. That's definitely worthy of a clap. CEO simply means I go first. If you're giving instructions from behind, you are a remote control. Leader says, I go first. So giving instructions from behind is controlling. If they never see you do it, then what do they have to look forward to? But you have leaders that are concerned about more than just what you bring to the house of God. They're concerned about what happens in your household. So leverage, take advantage of the opportunities that you have. The opportunity of a lifetime only lasts the lifetime of the opportunity. Some things we only get one chance at. Some things we have the opportunity to visit more than once. Right now, America is about to go on sale. Stock market and real estate. If you don't follow the stock market, it's so low right now. Some companies are almost back to where they were their low 52 week, which means where they were when they first started the company. You can get your credit approved, go apply for a small business loan for $50,000 and go buy a foreclosure that's about to hit the market in the next 10 months. Take that foreclosure, flip it, rent it out, do whatever you want to do with it, and hold the equity. Right? Here's another play. Since we're just talking. The friend of mine that really got into it and did it the right way, he got his credit together. 800, 750, whatever it was. Applied for about 3 or 4 cards, totaling about $150,000. He liquidated those cards, used the money. All right, so let's say I get $150,000. All right, I'm going to give you the whole play. All right, so I get $150,000 in credit cards, however I do it, lines of credits, whatever. I can go to Amazon today and buy a piece of equipment. I'm sure Greg can tell you what that equipment is, probably some projected that's about $130,000. You can go to Amazon, buy that equipment in that credit card. You have the ability to send that equipment back. Because of consumer laws, Amazon cannot tell the third party what card you used. So the card that you used as the credit, you can tell them, put it back on this card number. Well, guess what that card number will be? Your bank account. You just liquidated $150,000. Now, what do you do with it? Okay, you found a piece of property that's about $50,000. Well, let's back up, all right? So first, you got to pay that money back. Let's say it's $12,000 a year to pay that money back. You take $12,000 from the $150,000, put it in an account. You let them draw the funds for a year from that $12,000. You're now taking, what do you got left from 12? $138,000? You take $138,000, buy a property for $50,000. When you buy that property for $50,000, maybe 10 or 15 to repair it, now you got 60 into it. Put it back on the market, sell it for $200. You've paid the card off, and you also have $100,000 in cash. And guess what you also have? You also have another $150,000 to do the whole thing all over again. And that's all from good credit. but we're trying to work for it. Remember the slogan in the beginning? We work for it, they buy it. Labor funds now, investments fund the future. All right. Any other questions before I'm done? Pastor, anything? Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I can't hear you, barely hear you. Yeah, so first-time home buyers now is just saying, I don't have a home right now. A lot of people think it's if you've never purchased a home. It's not that. If you don't have a house right now, you're considered a first-time home buyer. But don't be fooled by that language. There are not a lot of programs out there that help you. A lot of realtors, misguided realtors and loan people use that to actually pull you in. There's not a lot of first-time home buyer programs because the market is so volatile. We're still in the seller's market right now. So when you present to them first-time home buyers, that's usually 2 loans. So what they're seeing is you're getting a down payment assistance plus something else, which is going to drag out over time, so it doesn't look appealing to the seller. You want to go with that conventional because they know you're a good buyer. So that's why you want to get your credit up so you can get prime lending. Make sense? Anybody got another question? Ask while it's free. Anybody else? I'm sorry? Yes. There's a link. If you follow me on Instagram, Damian Burris, there's a link in my bio where you can purchase a ticket. Okay. Yep. There's a link in the bio where you can actually purchase a ticket. It's going to be in Charlotte at 3646 Central Ave, close to downtown. All those speakers will be there. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I do this annually. Last year it was in Greenville. This year it's here in Charlotte. But we're going to have everything from mindset to purpose. There's people on there that have over 30, 40 Airbnbs. Soho Brown has done over $200 million in real estate. If you're in church space, you know who Bishop Michael Blue is. My pastor, Pastor Simeon Mutri, so many other people on there, Pastor Marcus Gill. And I got people that have a business mindset, but they also love God. Right? So the information that they're going to be giving you is going to be based from a good place, but it's business. I have a company, this whole thing is put on by My Pulpit is Different, which is the company, the umbrella company that I own. And that simply means that I don't speak from an elevated platform, but when I speak, it's to elevate you. I don't have to be in church for you to understand that God wants you to have better. I can do this in the grocery store. I can do this in the barbershop. A lot of you have that. You have that ability to help people. And your pulpit may not be raised. Everybody feel like every time there's a calling, we got to run to the pulpit. Right? Your stance doesn't have to be elevated for you to talk about God. You can do that from the pew. You can do that anywhere. Okay? So, I thank you for having me. Appreciate you so much. And I have my books over here in the corner if you want to come out and get one. They're $20 today. I'm giving y'all a $15 discount because I love you so much. All right? So thank y'all so much for having me.
Come on, y'all clap your hands again. How many of y'all can really say my mind has been blown today? I don't know about you, but the one thing that I do want to get into is real estate and transportation. And there was so much information that was given. Now, we know some things that we know, and then he gave us so much that we had no idea. That's why when he asked me, do you have questions? I said, no, we're going to get together after this. And some of you need to do the same thing. Many of us, we don't have financial advisors. And some of you, if you would admit it, you don't think you have enough to have a financial advisor, right? But this is the mindset that has to change. That's the reason why you need to talk to him. This is the reason why you need to have somebody that you can talk to about your finances. Like he said, he didn't have to say it. We didn't pay him to say it. We care about you holistically, not just your spiritual relationship, but your financial. We care about your 90. We care about your life. We care about how you're living. And it is very important that you take advantage of what is given today. I would advise you, if you can buy the book, buy the book. One thing about taking notes, because I'm a note taker, you're not going to remember everything he said. You're not. There are several things that he said that's just going to stick to me because it has to do with my mindset right now and something I want to change right now. But there are other things that will apply to as I go along the information that I'll need in the future. And so you got to take it with that same, you got to take up that same thought right now that, okay, let me make the connection. I'm gonna get me a book because I'm gonna highlight right where I want to go at. But I already know there are several things that I still need to ask questions about. The worst thing you can do is act like you know. That's the worst thing you can do. Now, we're blessed because out of me and my wife, one of us going to be able to get the answer. But some of us are in situations where we can't do that. And that's why today is so important. All right? I want you to clap. Come on up here, baby. I want you to clap your hands again.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much for, when I tell you, Doctor Barrett, I thank you for what you, the money doc. We're going to have you come back. We're going to have you come back a lot, if it's okay. What's up, Tasha? We're going to have you come back a lot. This is not the first or the last time. Before you leave, we're going to put you on the books to come back. We're going to keep you here because in the mornings when I'm doing lives, and it's not for me, and I say, you know, would you sow? And someone who's of a certain age say, I don't have $7, that bothers me. And it doesn't bother me for me. It bothers me for them that there is something that is a disconnect that does not allow you to understand that you don't have to live that way. And we as an African-American people, we don't have to live that way. It bothers me because, as well as you all know, I have friends all over the world. And I am going 3 o'clock to meet with some friends. But it bothers me. And this is something that I do with my own children. Growing up in New Jersey, I used to take my kids. They went to school in this area called Milburn. They were the only African-American children, really, in their school. But what I would do with my children, I would drive around and I would point to locations and I would tell them the unfairness. The unfairness is that home does not belong to people that look like us. And even though at that time we lived in an area that was pretty prominent, South Orange, I needed them to understand that that is always going to be obtainable for you if you take the knowledge and apply it. I am honored that I felt good when I looked at the percentile, that we fell in the percentile of good credit. I'm an advocate for good credit. I watch my credit like it's a newborn baby. I watch it. I went up 8 points yesterday. I was like, oh, because I understood. My mother understood gentrification before this gentrification went around. And I'm not done. It's so much that I want us to do. We do not have to be in the percentile of poverty. Nobody clap. I need to know who told you that. Who told you that? Who told you? Their business owner, Misha, stand up. She owns a bakery. Nashad, she just stand up. Don't you do financial literacy too? Stand up. State your name. Take your mask off. Wait a minute. Nadia does financial literacy. Don't you do taxes? Stand up. Say your name. CPA firm. Everything you need is in the house. Everything. The couple that just got married. Stand up. Don't clap. Go stand over there with I'll jack your name up. Damian is D, because I jack up everybody's name. I don't know how many times I called you the wrong name. Lock, you just going to be locked. But come over here and stand by him. Because what we're going to do as a church, we're going to pay for your class. Yeah. Go over there. They just got married. And I want them to win. I want them to win. And when you finish with his class, she going to fix your credit for free. Both of you. I want y'all to win. I want y'all to, I want people to win. I want you to win. This is what it's about. I want the people of God to win. Period. I am not here to take nothing from you. I don't give a dang what pastor is doing. These pastors need to give the people something instead of taking away everything. So I am saying to you, y'all need a realtor? Colleen, stand up. She a realtor right there. She's a realtor. What I want you to do is I want you to come back and I want you to discuss a budgeting workshop. Can you do that for us? Before we leave, we're going to put you in the book. And I'm going to push it. This church, online, online, the numbers were good. But I want to push budgeting. That a lot of us African-American people, we don't know how to budget. We don't. I applaud myself. Man, I had a choice because, I like to treat myself sometime. And I was like, I kind of want this bag. I put that joker back. I put it back, and I'm proud of myself. I put it back, and I took that money, and I paid off a credit card. We did a budgeting, and we challenged people to save $1,000. Nobody came back with that. 2022, we started the New Year's off. How many people did their assignment? You to save $1,000. If an emergency happened right now, they don't have $100, and that should be a problem. Why doesn't that bother us as a people? That doesn't bother us. It doesn't bother us as a people. That should bother you, not for the church, for you. You want to know the best. Listen, everybody need to get a pandemic mentality. Get a pandemic mentality. I want everybody in here to get a pandemic mentality. Ask me why. You save money. The malls were shut down. Right? The malls were shut down. You couldn't go nowhere. You couldn't go in a mall. You could not go anywhere. And you looked at your account and said, dang. So we're going to do 1 month. When you do the budgeting workshop and you come back, I am going to petition you guys to save something. I want you to come back. It's so much in us that we want to do. I want them to understand commodities, standards and poors. I understand it, but I had a mother that said, look, I don't care if I don't do roaches. Roaches ain't my friends, right? But she said, yeah, you're going to see roaches around here. And I'm like, man. She said, you're going to have an exterminator, and you just going to deal with it. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, at the time, $974, $75 was a lot of money back then. My father made it every Thursday. We grew up around Jewish people. And she said, no, this is an investment. And what my mother did is she taught us about gentrification. And when she passed, she left us all a little bit. In the little apartment that was a 3-bedroom, 2 full bathrooms, a living room, a dining room, and a foyer was $132 a month. That's crazy. 450 Clinton Avenue by Pratt Institute. Teen Challenge was next door. She sold that thing. It was like $1.3 million. And she understood it. And so why is it that the Bible says that my people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge? But you get the knowledge and you won't obtain it, and you want to know why you're destroyed as a people. Make it make sense. You're right. The church should have been packed. Because when it's time for us to talk about money, we get upset. When it's time for us to talk about money, we get offended. But my Jewish friends, please, that's all they talk about. They don't back out. They don't back away because they realize, just like you said, no, we do more than just spend. I think it was Dr. Ujima. He just spoke. He said in our communities, we have more consumption of alcohol, restaurants, right, and malls. And so I know when I go to my white counterparts, you can't find a liquor store nowhere near where they live at. You can't. And so I don't understand how we could jump, shout, lay on the floor, roll around and hikamacha, and go home and don't hear God say, get your life together. You do not, and I am never going to be the type of leader that's going to sit back and see my community struggling and don't give them the tools to make it. I ain't that type of leader, and neither is my husband. It's so much that I want to do. I'm going to petition you. I need a workshop, not just home buying. I need elderly people. I need a workshop with elderly people that have homes so that they would understand what happens, God forbid, they're called home. I have a problem when mom and dad pass away and y'all fighting over the property. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing I can't stand about us. We don't talk about death. We don't want to talk that part. Y'all want to talk about death? Oh, don't speak that over my life. Everybody going to leave here one day. I'm sitting there and somebody just texted me, you know, your cousin just died. I was like, oh, Lord, okay, I'll deal with that in a minute. Do you know, never, and I even brought people in here for life insurance policies. They don't even understand it. How you going to be 50-something years old and you get a BBL, but you ain't got no life insurance policy? Make that make sense. See, I'm saying as a people, I can say it because I'm black and I'm proud. Our priorities are mixed up. Even me, I got to do better. I just drove down East Independence Boulevard and I said, oh, there's a property. It's an acre. I'm going to go see what they want for it. It's so much more to us as a people. And if my husband and I are giving you the tools to make it, you need to say, look, I ain't going to buy me another Chick-fil-A sandwich. I ain't buying me. Let me tell you something. You got $400 on your head. And do, because a good lace front going to cost you that. Right? And a man sit up here and told you what it would cost for a life insurance policy. You got to sit up there and you got to do, it's so much that I want to give the people of God. But I'm going to tell you one thing about us. We want everything free. You want everything free. You want everything free. You go down there, Colleen, you know I love you. Sister, how you doing? What? Just wave your hand. You, right there. No, in front of you. My Caucasian sister. Go like this. All right. Y'all just nod your head, right? Okay, good, okay. One thing about us as an African-American people, white folks get it. I'm not afraid to say that. You got a problem with me? Call Bishop Listen Page. White folks get it. I sit with my white friends. They get it. They get it. You tell black people, listen, do you know it'll cost a share, a Nike is what, $123 a share, and you pay more for the sneaker? I will petition everybody, even me. I don't want to see them all. Unless I got to go in there to buy something for the people of God, I'm done. I want to grow up. It's so much when I hear my white counterparts speak. They talk about real estate. They talk about their investments. You know, man, they talk to me about a life insurance policy. I love my husband. But they talk about putting on us. I love you. But if you ever go down, no, I'm just saying. But no, seriously, what they talk about. It's crazy what you could put on your spouse. Right. But y'all don't want to talk about life insurance policies. And I'm so dang old sick of seeing these go from me accounts, go up and down the timeline. It's sickening. But white folks, I'm tired of them having it all together. I'm tired. I don't care if, oh, she hates. No, this ain't hate speech, Facebook. It's factual. Why is it that we are the most beautiful, blessed people at the bottom of the food chain, and we're okay with that? I'm not okay with that. So I'm asking y'all, when he comes again, bring somebody with you. Bring someone with you. Don't buy another lace front. Fix your credit. Fix your credit. That one little number has the ability to make your life or break it. And it's sad. I ain't in the 5s. I ain't in the 6s. I'm in the 7s, but not in the low 7s. I'm in the high 7. I'm on my way to the 800 club. And I like it. I like it. So I'm saying to you, Shane, how many people need how many know their credit score? Dang it. How many people are happy with their credit score? Look at that. I'm going to say that again. How many people are happy with their credit score? Now, if this room was white, I'm a realist. Now, hold up your shoes. They're your money to fix your credit. Y'all like the way I give you revelation, right? It's like, ouch. Hold up your car keys. Hold up your car keys. There's your money to fix your credit. If I can challenge y'all, they holding up their car keys, they think they're going to get another car. They thought I was going to prophetically speak that. Now, I'm going to give you a prophetic word, fix your credit. Watch this. We get ready to go. Dr. Ujaba, I like Dr. Ujaba. In fact, I'm going to see if I can get him here. Understand what I'm saying. Fixing your life is very easy to do. You just have to want to do it. If he is coming here, and we did Black Wealth Matters, right? We have fixed 300 and something odd people's credit or something like that. The church fixed it. In the church, you can't even walk outside the door before you pass the credit repair office. What church you know got a credit repair? In the church. The first time you ever seen it. What Unity want to do is going to be mind-blowing because we are determined to get the people on the right track. If you come in this sanctuary and you walk by that office and you know your credit ain't right, you wrong for that. You wrong for that. You are wrong. And you shouldn't just want to fix your credit to get a house or to get cars. You should want to fix your credit so you can invest in yourself to do whatever it is you want to do. It's up to y'all, man. At least let's start with us. Let me tell you something. When I go around white folks, I'm happy. I had to tell this white lady my money spent like yours. And my credit might be better. I was on a plane and pulled my credit up next to this white boy, and he said, nosy, but it's all right. He said, oh, that's good. And I was waiting for him to say, for you? That's better than mine. My chest got swole. If our parents did not teach us, at least let the pastors do it. All right? You do not have to live paycheck to paycheck. And you should not be comfortable with being poor. If you don't have $7 to your name, that is a impoverished mindset that has to change. I don't know if it was your sickness. I don't know what it was. But if your mindset says, if I got to go to the consignment shop and buy my clothes from the Goodwill for the rest of the year, that's what I'll do it to fix this problem. Amen? So it can be done. So You're going to fix right now. Is there married folk? Where the married folks at? Married folk. How y'all doing? You doing good? You doing better? Okay. How y'all doing? You doing good? This your first time here? You been here before? Well, where y'all been? How far y'all live? Gastonia? Okay. Y'all bought a house? Purchase? You want to buy a house? You do? What's your credit look like? Not so good. Shane, fix their credit. Fix it. Fix their credit. See Shane after. Don't worry about the church going to take care of that. The church is going to take care of that. You ain't going to pay one dime. Count that to us. That couple over there, what y'all doing? Y'all married, single, shacking? What you doing? Huh? That's your girlfriend? You got him here? No, hold on. You got him here. Hold on. Wait. Shut up. Let me do what I do. Shut up. So this your girlfriend? How old are you? You're 22. You know your credit score? You have you ever seen your credit score? Are you happy with it? Okay, Shane, fix it. Right? Yeah, fix it. Right. If you ever playing man, you white. You got good credit. You better have good credit. Huh? You know what your credit score is? You happy with it? See there, I told you. I told her. Huh? So she gonna fix yours, okay? No problem. Wait, hold on. You got you Tuesday night. Can you get here? Tuesday. You know why? Because my husband does the King's Council, and he brings black men together, and he just talk to them. So come here and get it out. It ain't live. It's just a bunch of men getting together, and they talking. Let's fix you. So when they see you, they'll respect you and not fear you. All right, let's stand, all right? Let's stand, let's stand. Let's stand, let's stand. All right, so you see Shane, all right? Listen to me. My husband and I, we love you. My husband, he's a force. Don't take his meekness as weakness. Don't do that. Don't. Now I love my man. Don't take his meekness for weakness. Just that nigga there, all fire. So listen to me. I appreciate you. You're gonna come back. We got an appointment. Before you leave, please go get with Elder Michelle and let her get you on the books. I need you to come back here a lot. I need these people to be fixed because society and family broke them. And it is our jobs as leaders is to make them better. Those are your clients that's going to meet with you. Shane, you know what you got to do is sow in the church. Charge it to us because we want people better. Hopefully somebody come back and sing when they're supposed to be singing. I won't put it out there, but I'm just saying. I'll call you later on that. That's sidebar. Anyway, husband, can we just, Elder Michelle, would you please close us out? Tomorrow I will be giving the word of God. I need you guys to come on out. I want you to bring a guest or be a guest. But I need you to be in the building. Husband and I got to run because we have an appointment. Okay? All right. Hold on. Here's Elder Michelle. I love you.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for what our eyes have seen, what our ears have heard on today. Thank you, God, for preparing us for better lifestyles, better us, God. Thank you, God, for the information, the knowledge, God, that you've dropped in this room on today. Thank you, God, for Damian Burris, the facilitator, God. We pray, God, blessings upon his life for sharing with us on today. Now, as we take this, what we've heard, God, let us apply it to our lives, not only being a hearer, but being a doer of what you've imparted into us on today. Now, Father, as we leave this place, but never your presence, go before us, lead and guide us into paths of righteousness for your name's sake. Thank you for Apostle Fred and Lady Jameliah Gooden. Thank you for Unity Charlotte International. And we thank you, God, for the experience that shall take place in this place on tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.